If CAFAWA had, I think as an organization, we're sensitive that how we're funded is through a couple of sources. One, that we've got some wonderful foundations here in Colorado that are invested in the work that we do. Animal Assistance Foundation being one example. And then our larger members, we rely on membership dues to help fund the work that we do. So, and that, each one of those organizations that we're asking to make either a membership commitment to, or some of them actually do strategic membership, so they're making a larger contribution to the work. We're asking them to do that while they're also trying to create resources for their own organization. So, again, resources are limited. There's only so much in the bucket. And so that is something that I think, gosh, if you could say, what's the one thing you'd love to be able to do to be able to provide more resources to our members in that financial way would be fantastic. We're not there yet. So I think how we try to achieve that is just, the conference being one example of getting enough sponsorship so that if you come to the conference, it's affordable. We provide scholarships for that. We have a whole scholarship, not only for that conference, but we have a scholarship opportunity so that if you wanted to go to one of the national conferences, that you could apply to CAFAWA. We've expanded that to be also if you're a new leader in your organization and you need some executive coaching, or you need to go to a specific training, that's available to you too. So that's where we've been able to start doing that. And again, that's through some really generous grants that we've received from Animal Assistance Foundation to be able to move those forward. That's what we're able to do right now, but we hope over the long term to take some of that pressure off.
Are you hoping that when these networking events start, some of the maybe, and not even only private nonprofits, but some of the organizations may start talking to each other saying, we really want to do this fundraising event. We would love for you to be a part of it. And therefore, coming together, maybe we can raise a little bit more money. And in that way, they will be able to start sharing resources among themselves without you guys having to kind of.
Right. I mean, that is the goal, right?
Yeah.
This is organic sort of. If the structure is there and we're getting those doors open, that over time, whether it be a fundraising event or just even, I think one of the challenges that we still have, and while we do a really good job of communicating, in some ways there's lots of organizations that aren't connected yet. Whether that to be to CAFAWA, or they feel like they're this island out in the middle of anything. And again, that's where I think because different organizations might approach the work differently, that can be a barrier, right? If we're philosophically not aligned, that can be very challenging to then sit down and say, I agree, we can agree on these things, we're going to agree to disagree on these things. And so we have a ways to go there. And I think that's one of the things the board's really going to be looking at as we go into our next strategic planning cycle, is how do we break down some of those barriers so that there's some trust between organizations, and that goes back to some of our values of like having a shared language and being constructive, and it's emotional. I mean, people are dedicating their lives to this work. We love the animals that we care for, and so that in itself can be a barrier when there isn't that common trust and commitment to having a supportive conversation. So we've got work to do there for sure.